Hello everyone and welcome. It's Shanna. So glad you're here. Now we are going to make 3 really fast cards today. I think we make them in just slightly over 20 minutes. I'm bringing in the Joyful Seasons rub-ons. These are from Spellbinders. They are back in stock. There are 2 6x8 sheets of rub-ons and there are 16 images and sentiments, and these are all that's included. Now I have used some of them already, so I don't have all of them, but we're going to work with 3 of these. And we're going to use 3 of the sentiments. I've been wanting to use this bird. I love how it just kind of goes on the edge. We're going to use the snowman and the Christmas tree. And we're going to create 3 fun cards. We're also going to use the A2 Precision Layering Dies. This is the A2 set A, I think is what it's called. And we're going to use it for our frames. And you can see I've got all of my frames. I've already taken those and I've used them to die cut and prepared our card bases for each of these. We're using some alabaster, some cranberry, and some gold, and that is going to be our theme on all of these. It's going to pair nicely with these rub-ons, and we're just going to make some quick cards. I was excited when I noticed that they're back in stock because when I got them, they sold out rather quickly before I could even work with them, and I think I went ahead and worked with them before when they weren't there just because I wanted to use them. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cut around this bird and get all of this area and trying not to get into my other sentiments and just get it all cut out. And then we're going to use this one for our first card. This one is going to have the largest layer of the alabaster cardstock, and then we're going to go down smaller as we work with the other elements. So I'm going to just line this up on the corner of this panel, and we'll just pull the backer sheet off, and I'm going to just try and get it laid down right on the corner and get it as close to the edge as I can so that it will just fill in this area. So just taking my time and lining it up, and I'm just going to press it down with my fingers, and once you do that, you are committed. So I'll bring in my scissors. It's a little bit longer than the panel that I chose to lay it down on, and so I'm going to snip it off. And then we're just going to get to rubbing on this. I thought about running it through my die cutting machine. I did that on the video the other day. But sometimes it makes an impression where the acetate, like where I've cut around it, it'll make that impression. And so today I decided that I would just do the rubbing on it and just keep it real clean and simple and not have to worry about that little edge. So what I did was I brought in one of my vinyl scrapers. It's a little bit bigger. You know, normally you get that popsicle stick with it, but this allowed me to press a larger area and just kind of make the pressing go a little bit faster, just cover a bigger area. I will bring in the popsicle stick for the more fine elements to get them to lay down, but this worked pretty well. So I left this real time. This is the actual crafting time, so I guess 20 minutes and 47 seconds includes the pictures and the crafting time. And so I'm just going to begin lifting it and seeing, did everything get laid down? Now, some of those little teeny tiny spots did not go down. These are like gold specks. And so I'm going to keep rubbing them. And then I think I wind up bringing in the popsicle stick and rubbing it on there just to get those little tiny pieces down. So I'm going to grab it, and then I can really put some pressure on just those real small areas. And so I'm just lifting and pressing as I need to. And then I'm trying to get areas like the beak. I thought that was a really fine area, and so I'm just kind of covering some of those. And then we'll just lift it off. And there we go. Beautiful. So that looks like you've really done a lot of work, and all you did was rub on a transfer, and it's really pretty. Now I'm going to find a sentiment for this, and I'm going to choose Wishing You a Joyful Season, and I'll cut it out, and we'll get it laid down on there. And we've got a good amount of that open space there. So we'll get this laid down, and then I'll have a solution for that as well. So I decided to line it up on my glass mat and then lay my sentiment down, and that will help me to get it a little bit straighter than I would if I had not lined it up on the line. So we've got wishing you a joyful season. I'm going to bring in that scraper again and just give it a press. And then I think I probably bring in the popsicle stick again and rub it just to make sure. It's really fine. And it was already starting to move. When that starts to move, generally you've got it laid down nicely. So we'll just peel that off, and there we go. Looks good. I got a little heavy-handed when I was using the popsicle stick, so I just rubbed the back of it just to kind of smooth it out a little bit. And we're just going to have a real fine line around a frame around there. And I noticed when I did the picture, I got a little bit crooked, but it's going to be fine. I'm going to be giving out a bunch of Christmas cards this season, as I always do, and this is going to work out just fine. So I'm just going to layer it up, trying to get it lined up. I don't know if it moved on me or if I laid it down on there crooked, but it looks pretty good right now. Just give it a little press. And then we've got our panel laid down. Now I have got an alabaster card base that I have made myself. I just cut them down and score them. I just buy some heavy cardstock and create my own bases, and I'm just going to get it laid down on here. And it looks like I did get a little bit uneven, but I think it'll be fine. I can actually trim that up and make it look a little more even. So there we go. Now I've got all that wide open space on there, and I thought I'm going to bring some splatter in for this. And so I'm just going to bring my Spellbinders splatter in, and I'm just going to splatter some gold on there. Just kind of filling in that open space. Now this is Splatter Effects from Spellbinders, and it is Gold Rush is what it's called. And it's like a fingernail polish bottle. You just dip your brush down in there and pick up some of that splatter and then just splatter it on there. I have found that if I hit the brush on my hand, I can kind of get some splatter effects. Now I'm going to take my time and get plenty of splatter on there and just fill in that open area. And I think it just looks wonderful with these leafy elements and the splatter that was already on there. And it'll just fill in those open areas. So I'm going to get the splatter box out of the way, and we're going to move on to our next card. Now we are going to be bringing that splatter box in and out. And you can see I've got some splatter on here already. I'm not going to worry about it because we're splattering everything. And it will not create a problem with our rub-on. I wasn't sure, but it didn't. So next we're going to bring in the Santa. And this is like an old world Santa. It's just so pretty. It's just got that kind of cranberry scarf, and he's carrying a package of floral elements, and he's got a broom, and it's just a really pretty scene. And he's got the top hat. It's just beautiful. Just very old, vintage looking. So I'm going to get it lined up on here. It is a little bit wider than the panel again, but we're just going to snip off just a little bit of what's left there, and then we'll get it laid down. We'll get it rubbed down on there. So I'm just going to trim that off. And I'm just going to continue using that just kind of rubber scraper thing, and we'll get it pressed down on there. I think I mentioned my little grandson has been sick, and then today his brother got sick and came home from school, so I had to go pick him up, and I just took him back to their house and just kept them. I put their pajamas on him and got him comfortable, and just took care of them at the house all day. So not much time for crafting, but plenty of time to take care of my babies, and so I made sure they had medicine and everything they needed, and just kind of tried to keep them comfortable. And when they had little bursts of energy, we went and they wanted to go and look at the construction that was going on in town, so I threw them in the car and we went and looked at that and just rode around. And I ordered a pizza because pizza's their favorite, and the littlest one ate, but the older one didn't eat. He wasn't filling up to it. He thought he wanted to eat, but he was so tired he just kept laying down, and they just weren't feeling well at all. So I felt so bad for him, but anyway, but was able to take care of them and then get home. And so now I'm kind of at the 11th hour working on this video, but I think this snowman is beautiful. And then we've got all these layers. We are going to go ahead and splatter this. I'm splattering everything. We're just going to make a mess. I've got the desk a mess. The laptop is covered in gold splatter. The glass mat is covered in gold splatter. But I think these turned out really pretty. So anyway, they will not be going to school tomorrow because they definitely need another day at home. And I'm not sure they'll go on Friday either. So we'll see how that goes. But just getting plenty of rest. And my daughter sent me some pictures throughout the evening, and they did have some little burst of energy where they're feeling better. But isn't this pretty? So, so pretty. So anyway, hopefully they'll be on the mend quick. Usually kids, they get really sick and then they get over it pretty quickly. So I'm hoping for that. So I'm going to lay these gold panels down, and I just use those dies to cut centers out, and then I use the layers, the back layers, to just layer these up. I'm just making the most of this cardstock. This is treasured cardstock from Spellbinders. And so we'll just get this laid down. Now I did notice on, I think it was the Christmas tree, well maybe, yeah, the Christmas tree one, the one that I do next, that I had a little bit of glue showing through on the gold. So I need to be more careful to spread my glue out when I'm laying it down on the metallic cardstock. But this one here turns out just fine, and I'm just going to try and get it lined up a little bit better than I did the first one, and then we'll get our little panel laid down on there. Now I have not laid a sentiment down on there yet, and I was thinking about gluing it down, and then I thought, no, we need to get the sentiment on there first. I'm going to choose Let the Season Sparkle for this one, and we'll get it laid down on our card, and we will have our sentiment on there, and it'll turn out very nice. So I'll just give it a press, and then we'll bring in our popsicle stick and get it laid down on there. And we've got Let the Season Sparkle. And I'm just going to rub it on there real carefully and try and get it laid down on there. There we go. So I'll just glue it up and get it laid down on there. And we've got a pretty little snowman. Gorgeous. These rub-ons just make for some quick and easy card making. If you are a beginner card maker, this is where I would start because you have beautiful results with minimal effort. So I'm going to bring in some foam tape and get it popped up, and then we'll get it laid down on our panels. I'm kind of cleaning off my desk as we do the voiceover, so if you're hearing noises in the background, I'm trying to get some things cleaned up and get ready for bed. So just 3 strips of foam tape, and we'll get it laid down. Now I chose to paint my fingernails before I started creating, and purple was probably not the best color for this color scheme of cards that I made. So we'll get this laid down on there, and we have got our second card, and I think it looks really pretty. So simple and yet very beautiful. Now for our final one, this is our smallest alabaster panel, and we're going to use the Christmas tree on there, and we'll just cut it apart and get it laid down on there just like we did the rest of them. Just kind of rinse and repeat. We're doing the same thing on all 3 cards. This is a great way to produce a lot of cards. If you're in a hurry to get your Christmas cards made, I would suggest picking up these rub-ons. And there's a couple of, maybe 3 different sets of Christmas rub-ons that I've seen that would be fantastic, and they're very inexpensive. They usually run about $5.99, and so you can pick these up. This one said 16 images, so for $5.99 you literally could do, I don't know, it says images and sentiments, so maybe you could do 8 cards with the images and the sentiments and, a card base. You wouldn't even have to have all these layers, but it would come together pretty quickly and pretty simply. So I'll get my little scraper that I use for my vinyl and just give it another press, and we'll get this laid down on there. I would have had this video done sooner, but my husband wanted me to go shopping with him, and he wanted to go to 3 different stores. So I thought he wants me to go. Usually he was going to go to Aldi's and then a couple other stores, but normally he doesn't like me to go to the grocery store because I always run the bill up. And I don't care because I don't like to go to the grocery store, so it makes me happy that he doesn't want me to go. But tonight he wanted me to go with him. And so I ran with him and went to the other stores and stuff. And I said, that's fine. I'll go with you, but just be advised I'm going to have, a couple hours of work to do when I get back. And so that's what I'm doing. I was doing another video for another channel as well. So we're just going to pull this off, just carefully checking it as I go. And there we go. It all laid down very nice. Super pretty. And for this one, I don't have a lot of room for the sentiment. So I'm going to look and see what I can use. And the Merry Christmas is the smallest one, and I think I can make it fit on here. So I'll just cut it out, and we'll get it laid down on there, and then we'll add Merry Christmas to this one. And I think it's going to be really pretty. So you can see I've got just enough room. I can kind of straddle that star with the Y and then the C in Christmas. And so I'll just kind of position it like that. It's not exactly straight on my panel there, but I think it's going to be fine. And so I'll just give it a rub. I'm going to bring in that popsicle stick. For the fine letters, I like using that. And then again, when it begins to move, you know that it has released. So we'll just pull that off. And there we go. Merry Christmas. So now we just need to layer it up, just like we did the other ones. Actually, I forgot, I got to splatter it too. So we'll bring in the splatter, and I'll just lay some splatter down in there, trying to fill in some of that open space in there. And it actually gives a really nice sheen to it as well. I'm tapping the bottle with the lid, trying to get some laid down on there. Also trying to angle it so that I don't cover my laptop with all the splatters. I did get several splatters on it. Just keep dipping it in there to get a little bit more and add what I think is sufficient. And I'm struggling to get it out, so I'll just keep dipping it and getting what I need on there. I just shook it up, and so it's kind of bubbly, and I think I'm not grabbing as much of the color as I could if I didn't have the bubbles in there. So I'll hit it on my finger. That seems to work best. I've been trying this quite a bit lately, and I found that if I hit it on my other hand, that I can tend to get a little bit more splatters laid down on there. And I'll just keep going until I get it how I want it. And normally I would speed, the video up, but I didn't tonight. So you're going to get the full. This is actually real time. This is how long it took me to create 3 cards. And I just keep on splattering until I get it exactly how I want it. I'm just dipping and splattering. You can see it's all over my hands. But we'll just keep going. Fortunately, I don't think I got any on my freshly painted nails. So there we go. And we've got enough that I think it looks decent. So we'll put the splatter box away, and we're going to get to assembling. And this one's going to be very much like the second card, except the layers are smaller. I just made a smaller alabaster panel, a smaller gold, and a smaller cranberry panel. And we're going to get these laid down. Now this is the one where I kind of had some glue worms, and I should have spread it out a little bit more on my gold cardstock, the back layer. The front layer, I didn't notice it as much, but on that back layer, I noticed kind of the wormies there. I think I must have given it a better press when I laid it down on this one. And then actually we have that other panel that's covering it up, so I smoothed it out there. And then we'll layer this up. And then we'll put some foam on the back of it, and we'll get it laid down on there. I think it's really pretty. These images are just beautiful. I love the bird. I think it's really pretty. And then the Santa, and now this Christmas tree, just gorgeous. So I'll put some foam strips on here, just like we did the other one. and we'll get some dimension on there. Now our first card is very flat. We just, glued it straight down. But then these last two, I decided to pop them up. And I actually popped them up in different layers. On the second one, I popped up the gold layer. And on this one, I popped up both the red and the gold layer. And so we'll just get it laid down on there. I made very good use of that gold cardstock because I reused the layers and the leftover parts. So here are 3 cards. I think they turn out really pretty. So I've taken some pictures for you to check out, and I've also included a playlist of additional videos that you might be interested in watching. So I appreciate you watching. Thanks, and have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.